Hey, what's happening? Johnny Waiver Wire here. Thanks for tuning in. It's the Week 8 edition of the Wires Picks of the Week. Coming to you from my office as I'm sitting here waiting for the Nor'eastern to hit. Figured I'd take a little bit of time out today to talk to you about some fantasy football matchups, who I think is making the playoffs, who might be out. We got a lot of teams on the bubble going forward, so the next couple weeks is really make and break. As you know, the last 3 weeks of the season are all going to be division rivalries. So that's really we call it the gauntlet at the end. So this week, next week, and then it starts the gauntlet. So remember, week 10 is the trade deadline, so all trades need to be done before week 10 kickoff. There's no trades allowed after that. So that being said, let's get right into it and take a look at the league. The top 6 teams right now in the domestic conference, rolling with Mahomes. Josh is doing a hell of a job over there. He's pretty much unbeatable. He's scoring like 140 points a week. And hail to the Redskins, who surprisingly, after some negotiations with the commissioner in the offseason, he's really turned his season around. So it's nice to see that he's not drafting Redskins. He's got very limited homeboy picks on that team. I think there's a team in the import conference, the Homers. They should take a page out of his book. Hail to the Redskins, really turned it around. A little bit of luck on his side this year, but either way, you got to do what you got to do. Long Island Legacy sitting at the number 3 spot right now in the domestic conference at 6-1. And then the last 3 teams as of now that would round that out: Duck Dynasty, Al Davis Tribute Team, and the Bridesmaid Slayers. All 4-3. Johnny Waiver Wire, yours truly, sitting on the bubble right behind the Bridesmaid Slayers, still at 4-3. But from a power ranking standpoint, divisional ranking, all that kind of thing, I'm sitting at the number 13 overall seed. That being said, there's still some teams in it. Reality Check, Bushwhackers, Free Stanley, all 3-4, still very much in the mix. Don't let it discourage you guys. I see a lot of you still making some trades, still trying to make things happen, so that's great. Hurricane Irene, sitting at 2-5. Dick, I left you off the list. You're 3-4. But really low on that bubble. So, and then JJ Slap That Shit, Muff Dive, and Homewreckers also 2-5. Remember, the bottom 2 teams don't even get a shot. You'll be playing in the best of the worst bowl. So, New Era and Kavanaugh's team of 9 right now in the domestic conference. You're pulling up that caboose. Wouldn't even get a chance to play for your money. So, still make those trades. Still go on the waiver wire. Still go after it, guys. Remember, long term, we still look at a lot of these records. Come 4 or 5 years from now, we're not really looking at where you finished as much as when we start doing these and we go back into those records. It's nice to see that, maybe I know I'm like 13-13 against Muff Diving Homewreckers. So regardless, the reason that we've stayed on this site so long is because it keeps all of our old records. So anyway, move over to the import conference. While I'm here, the domestic conference, you've got the number 1, 2, and 3 team in fantasy football right now. So for as much shit as the imports have talked this year, 1, 2, and 3 sit in the domestic conference. Now, 4 through 8, they're over in the imports, and then pretty much 9 through 13 being myself, 9 through 12, the top 12 playoff teams, 1 through 3 in the domestics. 9, 11, and 12 are in the imports. In the domestics. In the imports, the number 3 and the number 5 seed, Green Machine, killing it right now at 6-1. He's really untouchable. Bringing the Woodhead, made some great trades to start the season off. Put him in a good spot. I like what he's doing over there. Here comes the Pain. Always, always, always a contender in fantasy football. So it's good to see. Boys in the Hood, he's figured it out last year. He took a rebuilding year. He's back. Barron's Bulldogs, as always, in the mix. And then the last one there is the Honcho Hunting Homers, who's sitting at 4-3. He's on the bubble. So your top 6 teams right now in the import conference, Green Machine and Bringing the Woodhead. As of now, if the league stopped today, they would get the buys. Here comes the Pain, Boys in the Hood, Barron's Bulldogs, and Honcho Homers. Those are the next 4 teams. So Naughty by Norfolk, OP, Show Me Your TDs, Bortles, Discount Double Check, Sportsbook, all those teams are sitting at 3-4, 4-3 right now. You're on the bubble. You need to start making some moves happen. This is the big week for everybody. Because as you know, like I said, next week is your last week to try to get an out-of-division matchup before we roll into the gauntlet. So, rounding out those, you got Lux Neckbeard sitting at 2-5. The Wrath is 2-5. Canale's team, again, Chris, go back to Toads with Tourette's. You were so good for so long. All this trying to figure out if you're a muscle hamster or if your Balzac hurts, it's not working, bro. Go back. Do the thing. And then Bill Belichick, sitting at the 28 seed right now. He's in the very bottom. He would not be playing in the toilet bowl. So, as of right now, Canale, my Balzac hurts, and Bill Belichick would be playing for zero money, playing for the worst team in the Import Conference. So, let's take a look at this week's matchups. This week, Johnny Waiver Wire and Bushwhackers. Again, if I'm looking at Bushwhackers, this is a week for Bushwhackers who's sitting at 3-4. This is a must-win week. Johnny Waiver Wire sitting at 4-3, a must-win week. I told you I'm right on the bubble. That being said, Bushwhackers, for whatever reason, every single year seems to have Eli Manning. And Eli Manning, again, is facing off against the Redskins defense, who's been tough week after week after week, not allowing a whole lot of points. We know what we're getting out of Alex Smith in that offense, so they're going to control the clock. They're going to run the football. Eli Manning's going to do a couple turnovers, as he's known to do. Peyton Barber's in that lineup. Really, the only bright spot, Brandon Cooks, Antonio Brown. I don't think it's going to be enough. Johnny Waiver Wire does have Keenan Allen on a bye this week. Maybe that makes a little bit of a difference, but Kenyon Drake went absolutely bonkers last night for him. 22 points. I'm taking Johnny Waiver Wire in this one. Johnny's going to go to 5-3. Bushwhackers all but eliminated from the playoff after this week. Kavanaugh's team of 9 against Duck Dynasty. Really bad luck this year for Kavanaugh's team of 9, or Jay-Z's my agent, or whatever he is week to week. Not a bad team if you really look at it face value. The kid drafted Fournette. He drafted Le'Veon Bell. Those guys just haven't panned out. That being said, he's got instead Naeem Hines and Latavius Murray, Antonio Callaway. There's just not much from that roster. On the flip side, Duck Dynasty, he's got Saquon Barkley, who's just, in my opinion, he's an MVP candidate this year. Big Ben, he's really turned the season around there in Pittsburgh. T.Y. Hilton, if he's healthy, we know what T.Y. is capable of. So I'm going Duck Dynasty here. I think Duck Dynasty takes that next step. He also goes to 5-3. And starts to really lock up that playoff spot. A really great matchup we've got this week. Rolling with Mahomes, sitting at 7-0 against the Reality Check. Now, Reality Check, I told you, is 3-4. But Reality Check's record doesn't really reflect what his roster looks like, right? So let me talk to you about his roster. Kareem Hunt and James White, monsters at running back. James White, I looked at it yesterday. James White's averaging just about 20 points a game. He's got Geronimo Allison, who's healthy this week. He should be back. DeAndre Hopkins went off last night. He scored 23 points. And Adam Thielen. So, Mahomes, you're on upset alert this week, buddy. I know that Patrick Mahomes has been great. Who's he got this week? Let me see. Broncos. He's got Denver. Now, we know what Denver's capable of. On the defensive side of the football, this might be that week where, and it's going to happen one of these weeks, right? Mahomes is going to take a step back, just like every NFL quarterback does. And I'm waiting for it to happen this week. It's going to happen this week. So Mahomes, maybe he doesn't have 4 or 5 touchdowns this week. Maybe he has 1 or 2. But he's definitely going to be in the teens. I'm calling it right here. Mahomes is in the teens this week. And that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. So Joe Mixon, been battling injury bug all year. He's still going to play well. But outside of that, there's not much on the roster this week. Doug Baldwin, Mike Evans, Traquan Smith, Devin Funchess, who I have to constantly remind people, Devin Funchess was a tight end at Michigan. So he's not a legit receiver, right? Upset alert. Reality Check wins this week. Reality Check jumps the gun. He moves up to 4-4, really putting himself into playoff position. And Mahomes, if he falters here at 7-1, Now he leaves the door open, right? Long Island Legacy sitting there at 6-1. I have a feeling that he's going to win. So if Legacy wins, Mahomes loses, we might be in a situation to where hail to the Redskins. HTTR could slide up into that one spot. That would be pretty amazing. So we'll see as the day goes on. Free Stanley against Hurricane Irene. Two teams here. Free Stanley 3-4. Just trying to make a name for himself in the league again. He took a couple years off. He's back. His team's okay. You know, James Conner, this might be the last week that Conner's really a factor. Jordan Howard, Taylor Gabriel. Not much on that roster, right? Flip it over. You got Irene, who traded for Marlon Mack this week. Marlon Mack had 35 last week. She's not going to do that again, right? I mean, let's face it. So, he is going to score 12 to 18. He's the number one back. He's the guy in Indianapolis. He's got Cam Newton. He's got Phillip Lindsay. Jarvis Landry. Devontae Parker went off last night for a Devontae Parker stat. He scored 16 points. And Sterling Shepard. Hurricane Irene, I don't think is out of it. You got to run the table. You got to get to 7-5. But I don't think you're out of it. I'm taking Hurricane Irene in this one. Hurricane Irene wins. He's going to drop Stanley to 4-4. He's going to move himself up to 3-5. And that little window, it's still there. So Hurricane Irene wins. Here's the other matchup. Long Island Legacy facing off against the Bridesmaid Slayers. Bridesmaid Slayers, again, 4-3, sitting on the bubble. Legacy 6-1, just kind of cruising through the domestic conference, right? Well, Legacy's got 38 points from Deshaun Watson. That's going to help. He's got Alex Collins. He's got Alvin Kamara, Devontae Parker, Demaryius Thomas, who I'm not thrilled about anymore. I've heard some trade rumors about DT maybe going somewhere else. I know that Cortland Sutton's really kind of taken over there as a future rookie, an upstart guy. And Travis Kelce. So the roster's super talented. If I flip it over and I look at the Bridesmaid Slayers here, who he's got Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be Aaron Rodgers, right? He's got Tariq Cohen. The sleeper of the week, if you read any fantasy site from a running back standpoint, is going to be Raheem Mostert from San Francisco. If Breida can't play, Mostert's going to step in. Odell Beckham, Crabtree, if Crabtree continues to do his thing. Allen Robinson, I've heard, might be out this week. So that being said, I'm rolling with Legacy. He'll move on to 7-1, and I think if things pan out the way they're looking, Mahomes, Long Island Legacy, both 7-1 at the end of week 8. Let's get to the next one. Hail to the Redskins. There's nothing better than when a guy names his team Hail to the Redskins and he's good. Because for years he sucked, just like the Redskins. But it's something in the air, man. The Skins are 4-2. Hail to the Redskins is 7-0. And who did he draw this week? JJ slapped that shit at 2-5. HTTR, Tom Brady, Todd Gurley. I think Todd Gurley has, the Packers Swiss cheese defense. Tom Brady, Todd Gurley, AP against the Giants. Hail to the Redskins at the end of week 8 is the number 1 team in fantasy football. Swallow that up, y'all. Ditka and Al Davis tribute team. Al Davis, as much as we all hate his car salesman tactics every year, he's not a stud, but he's not a scrub. He's sitting right on the bubble. And this year again, here he is right on the bubble. He's sitting at 4-3. Facing a Ditka team that's not that bad at 3-4. This one could go either way. And without even looking at the rosters yet, I think, based off of what I've seen from the rosters in the past, Ditka could be the upset guy today. Ditka's got Drew Brees, David Johnson, Stephon Diggs, Jordy Nelson with no Amari Cooper. That's a guy to watch, right? And Vernon Davis, the Redskins still kind of getting him in the mix. We look over at Al Davis' tribute team. There's not many studs. He's got Matt Stafford, who's kind of been okay, right? Juju Smith-Schuster, gotta love him. And Zach Ertz. You could say Gronk, but I don't love Gronk. I traded Gronk because I don't think Gronk's that good. Now, he might be the greatest tight end ever behind Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates. But from a fantasy standpoint this year, he's not that good. I'm taking Ditka. Dicker, you got to win this week. Get up there to 4-4. Get in the mix. Al Davis tribute team, you're off the board. You're dropping to 4-4. And Johnny's sliding on up the ranks, entering the playoff talk. Next matchup, last one of the domestic conference, Muff Diving Homewreckers against New Era. The Muff Divers sitting at 2-5 after a devastating loss to yours truly last week. You're welcome, Blair. Against New Era. Ian, I don't know what you're thinking this year. You've been so good the last couple years in the league, and then out of nowhere, you suck. You got to figure it out, man. 1-6 against 2-5. This might be a toilet bowl preview for everybody. You got guys like Joe Flacco. We're starting Frank Gore. We're starting Wendell Smallwood and Kelvin Benjamin. Blair, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? I'm taking New Era, man. Kirk Cousins, Nick Chubb, the new starter in Cleveland, Tyler Boyd, Josh Gordon, Alshon Jeffrey. If New Era hadn't already lost 6 games, I'm telling you, he might have a team that could get in the mix. Excuse me. Look for New Era to finish the season right around 4-8. I think he'll win. Well, we got 6 games left. A couple games left. 5 games left. I think New Era is going to finish at 4-8. I don't think Blair is going to finish at the 4 or 5 win mark. He's got 2. That said, that wraps it up for the domestic conference. I know I'm 15 minutes in. Bear with me, man. It's a Friday morning fantasy show. You guys you're not doing much before I start cussing and offending guys again. Just hang out, relax, man. We got our Dunkin' Donuts coffee in the Grump cup. We got some good music. We got bad weather. Hang out, relax. Let's talk about the import conference. Lux Neckbeard. He's deployed, so he hasn't submitted a roster. He's playing the Wrath. Without looking at the rosters, the Wrath has Russell Wilson, Geronimo Allison, who's back, Dante Moncrief. I don't like anybody on the Wrath's roster. Wrath, if you've got, you don't even have any trade bait. I'm taking Lux Neckbeard. Lux Neckbeard, let me flip it over. He's sitting down at the bottom at 2-5. He's going to get a win this week. He's going to be 3-5. He's got the potential to be 5-7, 6-6, and win his money back in the toilet bowl. But I think that's where it stops this week. So Lux Neckbeard wins with whoever he submits. Hopefully he gets a lineup in. Otherwise, you're giving the Wrath a freebie, and the Wrath could go to 3-5 and potentially be 4-8 or 5-7 at the end of the year. Big matchup here. Big Bortles Brand sitting at 3-4. He's facing off against Here Comes the Pain. Here Comes the Pain sitting at 4-3, closer to a division leader than a lot of these other guys. Now everything in the import conferences, the parity's there. You got a lot of 4-3s, a lot of 3-4s, a lot of 2-5s. Guys, a game in, a game out. With Green Machine really being the only team that's really pulled away. That being said, 4-3 against 3-4. Here Comes the Pain. Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees. He's a Nolans guy. So he's got some Nolan Saints on his team. Jarvis Landry, Emmanuel Sanders, Tariq Cohen. I don't know that Tariq Cohen's going to continue doing what he's been doing. I think that Jordan Howard is probably, second half of the year, he's the better back. Let's just face it. So I think Jordan Howard is going to start taking over those touches. Tariq Cohen will start being more of a Theo Riddick kind of guy. That's just me projecting. Big Bortles Brand. His season ended when Bortles started acting like Bortles. So now he's starting Bortles again. The Jags don't even want to start Bortles. Why the hell are you starting Bortles? And LeGarrette Blount? Come on, man. This is not 2017. Here Comes the Pain wins. I can't even look at this. LeGarrette Blount and Blake Bortles are the top 2 guys in your starting lineup right now. Bortles goes to 3-5. Here Comes the Pain, 5-3, starts to pull away in his division. Next matchup, Balzac Ertz, Barron's Bulldogs. I've told you Barron's always a winner. He's always done really well in the league. There's not many guys that can contest him. He's starting guys like Ronald Jones, who's a fantasy sleeper. Kerryon Johnson, who's taken over that back. There's no such thing as an Amir Abdullah anymore. Andrew Luck, who if he ever had an offensive line to protect him, let's face it, he could be one of the all-time greats in the NFL. but he's got a Swiss cheese O-line and nobody that cares about him. Jordy Nelson, who I said, Amari Cooper gone, Jordy Nelson's going to benefit a little bit. I still think Jared Cook's going to be your guy. The other running back they got, Jalen Richard, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of PPR stuff. Let's face it, Derek Carr's not very good. So it's going to be a lot of dink and dunk and that sort of thing. Balzac Ertz, I'm still trying to find out why his team is so bad. I know I gave him a lot of shit. But looking at this, he's got Aaron Rodgers. He's got Todd Gurley. He's got Lamar Miller, who scored 20 points last night. He's got Devontae Adams, who should be healthy again this week. T.Y. Hilton, Demaryius Thomas. Hey, Barron, you're on upset alert, buddy. Balzac Ertz wins this game. He slides up to 3-5, and now all of a sudden we're talking about the Wrath being in the best of the worst bowl. And Balzac, who's not the toad, but maybe he's the muscle hamster a little bit. Maybe he's kind of getting back in the mix and trying to get something going. I still think he'll finish at a 5-7 kind of thing, but that's more respectable. A 5-7 season, 6-6 is fantasy football. Sometimes things go your way, sometimes they don't. Balzac Ertz wins, upsets Barron's Bulldogs here. Barron is going to drop to 5-3 and right back into that mix of a wild card spot. Next game, Honcho Hunting Homers against Boys in the Hood. This is a great one. You got 4-3 against, where's my homers? 4-3 and Boys in the Hood 4-3. So you got two guys 4-3, both trying to claw their way into those last two like wild card spots, right? So let's take a look. Cam Newton and Patrick Mahomes. I told you this week, Mahomes is destined to struggle. He's not going to struggle like Dak Prescott. Don't get me wrong. He's going to score. He'll get 18. He's just not going to get 40 this week. Denver does a good job running the ball, playing defense. Cam Newton's been struggling. But then when you look at Cam Newton this week, he's got the Ravens. I think he's going to struggle again. So that's a wash. Alex Collins, Mark Ingram. That's a wash. James White, Christian McCaffrey, both PPR studs. That's a wash. Randall Cobb, Danny Amendola. Danny Amendola got 13 points. Let's see if Randall Cobb can get 13 points now that he's back and he's healthy. I'm going to go with no. But the X factor here, Tyreek Hill. If Mahomes has 2 touchdowns, we know one of them is going to Travis Kelce. We know the other one is going to Tyreek Hill. The difference is Tyreek Hill returns punts. He does a pretty damn good job of it. Tyreek Hill will be the X factor here, along with Jimmy Graham. Look for Jimmy Graham to score, 40 yards and a touchdown this week. Maybe get to that 10 to 12 point mark. Honcho Hunting Homers. I'll call it an upset. Homers wins. He goes to 5-3. Boys in the Hood. 2 years ago, I think. Or was it last year? He was a champion. All of a sudden, he's 4-4, and he's going to miss the playoffs. It's not looking good. Not looking good there. Homers wins. Bring in the Woodhead. Naughty by Norfolk. If there was a team in our fantasy league that was a bigger disappointment this year, it's Naughty by Norfolk. He's the biggest disappointment. Mike, what's going on? I can't figure it out. And I can't figure it out because I look at your roster and you got guys like Deshaun Watson, James Conner, Joe Mixon, Juju, Robert Woods, Jordan Reed. You should be killing people. And then I look over at my board and you're 3-4? Boy. And this week you're playing Bringing the Woodhead. Crump has the potential to lay the smackdown on you. He got 6 from his kicker last night. He got 20 from Fuller. 20 from Fuller's big. Carson Wentz, tough matchup this week. Kareem Hunt, Antonio Brown. Kareem Hunt's got a tough matchup. That might be the game changer. Because he still has Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Josh Gordon. Oof. Oof. I'm going the other way with it. Naughty by Norfolk. You're going to pull a win this week. But it's because Deshaun Watson scored freaking 38 points last night. If Deshaun Watson didn't score 38 points last night, you'd be in a whole heap of trouble. You're going to win. But it's not going to be it's not going to be by much. It's going to be a close game. I like Naughty. I don't really like him to win. I think it'll be a close one. But Naughty's going to win by 1 or 2. So this is a toss-up game. So if that happens, he'll move up to 4-4. He's got the potential to make some playoff noise and bring into Woodhead all of a sudden at 5-3. Not in that 1 or 2 mix anymore. So bringing to Woodhead, you better hope your guys come to play, or maybe figure out a last-minute acquisition that's going to put you over the hump. You need this win this week to stay relevant. Green Machine and Show Me Your TDs. There was a trade that happened. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, that I approved, and I watched, and I took a note of it, and I said, this is where Show Me Your TDs lost in fantasy football this year. I want to say it was like week 4. He made a trade that I hated. And I said, well, he was good. He was like 2-0 or 3-0. I've never seen Show Me Your TDs. Dan Reedy has never been good in our league. He was good. It was like hell to the Redskins all over again. He had a chance. And then he made a trade that I didn't get. Now he faces off against Green Machine, who's the top seed in the conference. Well, yeah, we got 23 points last night from Hopkins. You got Jared Goff. Your running backs are Chubb and Yeldon, who the jury is out, right? We're still kind of waiting to see where they go. Starting 2 tight ends, and not even 2 good ones. You got Howard and CJ Uzomah, or however you say his name. I don't think it's enough, man. I just don't. Where are we at? Show Me Your TDs. You're 4-3. You need this win. You're starting 2 tight ends in a must-win game. You're 4-3. You're starting 2 tight ends in a must-win game against the number 1 team in the conference. Let me give you a hint. Today's Friday. Make a trade. Make something happen in your roster, because if you don't make a trade today or tomorrow, your playoff season is over. Your fantasy season's done. You can't, in this conference, at 4-4, you're not going to make it. 4-4 is not going to be good enough. Green Machine will pull away. He's going to be 7-1. You're on the bubble, man. You've got a couple pieces. I'm taking Green Machine because I don't trust what Show Me Your TDs is going to be doing. Green Machine wins, goes to 7-1, in control. Maybe this is the year that Steve can make a run in the playoffs and win it all. I know he's kind of been that bridesmaid for a couple years. Maybe we're there, right? Sportsbook, OP, one of my favorites. I love scheduling this one every year. Brother versus brother. OP, a constant winner in this league. Sportsbook, while he's won recently, which OP and I have not. This year he's struggling. And I don't like the roster that he's submitting. OP and I talk a lot. Now, if Breida doesn't play, OP's in trouble. But he does have John Brown, who's scoring 20 points a game. He's got ODB, he's got Jordan Howard, he's got Kirk Cousins, he's got Eric Ebron. He's got enough there to get to that 100-point mark. When we look over at Sportsbook roster, I hate Andy Dalton. I don't think anybody in fantasy football likes the Red Rocket, do they? Philip Lindsay, AJ Green, Devontae Parker, Willie Snead. Devontae Parker, like I said, got 16 last night. And Adam Thielen, who's an MVP candidate this week. I've got to go with OP. OP, he's 4-3. Sportsbook, 3-4. Look for OP to somehow, he's going to do it. He's going to squeak out a win. He usually does, some way, shape, or form. It's very Ravens-esque, right? Field goal, extra point. Just don't pull a Justin Tucker. OP wins. He goes to 5-3. He stays in control of his playoff contention. Sportsbook on the other end at 3-5. I'm sure the phone calls will start to happen now. You know, the no keepers. The league hates me. I'm being cheated. You know, Sportsbook's like RTO, right? It's always something. So, love you, Dave. You're 3-5 after this week. OP's winning this game. Last match of the day. Bill Belichick desperately trying to get some wins against Discount Double Check. So we got a couple of chicks and a checks. Unfortunately, Tony's Discount Double Check team, they haven't submitted a lineup. They're sitting at 3-4. Bill Belichick at 2-5, still trying to make a run. He's got Mitch Trubisky, Duke Johnson, Marvin Jones, Anthony Miller. We've got, let me tell you people, if there was ever a homer, tune in here. Aaron, I'm going to speak right to you. You're starting 5 Chicago Bears this week. Stop giving up. The season's not over. The Bears are not that good. Make a trade. Get out of this mess that you've got in. Mitch Trubisky is garbage. Anthony Miller and Allen Robinson are trash. The only guy you've got in here that's worth starting is the Bears defense, and it's a whole defense. Get out while you can. Make some trades. Find somebody that needs a quarterback. Get a receiver. Because you can't come into this game starting Corey Clement and Duke Johnson and think that you're going to beat anybody. I'm speak right to your heart, bro. That being said, Discount Double Check wins. Double Check goes to 4-4 with whoever he starts, because I know Bill Belichick is a homer. And he's not going to survive this league by having Bears on the team. Discount Double Check 4-4, still in the bubble, still in the playoff race. Fantasy Pros is projecting him to finish at 5-7. I like that 5-7, 6-6 for Tony. He's going to have a chance to win his money back in the toilet bowl. Keep submitting those lineups. So that being said, good luck to everybody this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. I know it's long. We're 30 minutes in. But sit back and enjoy it, man. It's Friday. And we're about to get Storm going. So best of luck to everybody.